The broadcast is now starting. All attendees are in listen-only mode.
Hello, everybody. Welcome to Third Tuesday Conversation, November edition. We hope you've got your coffee and are settled in for a great conversation. I'm Danica Olson, and I am your 3TC host. And today we have with us Julie Wilson and Heather Hansen, who are members of the Discipling Cohorts leadership team. Is that what we're going to call it? Anyway, so welcome, ladies. We also have Todd, which, sorry, Todd, I didn't put your picture. I didn't put your picture in the webinar. But we also have Todd, the esteemed leader of our network, to get us started. So welcome to the three of you. If you are joining us for the first time, we will have a bit of a conversation, and then we invite your questions and or comments toward the end. So if you'd like to join the conversation, just add your questions into the question box, and you'll see that on a little drop-down menu on your screen. So welcome, everyone. Thank you for being here. Todd, take it away. What the heck is Discipling Cohorts, and how did we end up here?
Absolutely. And we're kind of excited about it. So, the network's board of directors has kind of an ongoing process of doing strategic planning and thinking about the future of the network and the direction that we're headed, and had just actually completed a 3-year strategic plan about a year ago, I guess. And the goal in that plan was for the network to exceed 1,000 members, which we did. We're around 1,200 now. Yeah, I know. Woo-hoo. So we were. That was great. And then the question became, well, what are we going to do next? What's the next place that we think like God is calling the network to grow into? And we had some really good conversation about the sense of helping people develop individually, because we tend to take a one size fits all. Oftentimes in ministry, we'll look at a model or a book or an idea or a concept or a program and say, do this. And there's certainly value in that, but context is everything, and things are different for everybody in different congregations and different gifts and skills. So we said we really need to try to figure out how to get at that. And so the big, hairy, audacious goal that the board kind of came up with is that every single person in the network would develop an individual plan for how they were going to grow and develop in their own ministry, and really looking at 3 areas: vocationally, in terms of their skills, and spiritually. Those 3 areas, which really connect to the network's 3 words of renew, educate, and connect as well. And so we wanted to tie those things together. And so we created this goal. And then the question became, well, how are we going to get there? And we realized that while that's an individual goal, all goals like that are best kind of put together in community. So maybe the way to do this would be to go at it through smaller groups. And the network has always been good at being a big thing. We're good at large stuff, but maybe for us to delve into the small would be an important next step for us. And so we this idea of creating cohorts that would meet and work together, do some prep work and some thinking and some prayer, and create a safe community of support. And then out of that, they would work together on these idea of creating a plan. And this plan, they would hold accountability through each other. How are you doing on your plan? How are you doing on your progress, your goals? But also we would create a web-based way of people tracking their own stuff. They could enter in where they're at, and they would get reminders and things like that, and it would be cool and helpful. So that's sort of the direction we went. And so the next step became to create a team. And so we talked to Barbara Harner, who graciously agreed to lead that team. She's been a member of network leadership for a long time. She's been a regional facilitator for, I think, 6 years, worked in practice discipleship. She's worked as a synod coordinator for the gathering at different gatherings. And she agreed to take this on, and we created a team around her. And I get to kind of hang out with that team some too. We're cheering them on. And so Heather and Julie are both members of this fantastic group of people who've been thinking and dreaming for a while now. I don't know if it's been a year, but for sure since winter, about what this might, last winter, what this might look like. And so they're going to kind of delve into the details. But that's sort of how we got from point A to point B.
Awesome. Exciting stuff. Thanks for sharing the big how we got there, Todd. I think it'll be fun for us to learn more today. So thanks for being with us. Julie, I'm wondering, I'm sorry, my computer keeps trying to update things, so I'm sorry for the pop-ups that keep coming to you all. Love technology. Julie, I'm wondering if you'd introduce yourself to the crowd, a little bit about what you do, and why you were interested in jumping on this team.
Great. My name is Julie Wilson. I live in Moorhead, Minnesota, where it's a balmy, I think it's 18 degrees outside right now and nice and windy. My husband and I both work at Good Shepherd in Moorhead, and we have an almost 2-year-old little girl who keeps
made
us.
The picture?
She made the picture. My husband didn't, but she made the picture. Priorities. And I have been a part of a peer group and cohort like groups before, and it has been so fruitful for my ministry, for my own spiritual faith journey, and I want others to be a part of it. And so it's exciting to be on this team and to really dream about how we can help help others be a part of these intentional groups and really work on their own personal growth, both spiritually and in their vocation too, which we'll get to some of that later. So it's exciting to be a part of the team, and we're excited to have so many others want to be a part of it too.
Awesome. Thanks, Julie. Welcome. Heather, would you introduce yourself to maybe just a little bit about your work and where you're at? And then we'll jump into your why as well.
Sure. Well, hey, everybody. I'm Heather Hansen. I'm pastor in San Antonio, Texas. And I also teach at Texas Lutheran University in Seguin, Texas. All a balmy 72 degrees down here today.
A little different.
Sorry for all of you people in the north. It's very comfy today out here. I have been in youth ministry and teaching youth ministry for a long time. My background, my undergraduate work was in education as well. And so my interest in this team is particularly towards teaching and training and developing curriculum. So that's kind of how I started and got involved at the beginning. But I'm really excited to talk about just my experiences as a very young youth worker at the age of 23, and then now even as an older adult, the importance of learning for me and how that has been helpful throughout the years. So up on the screen, you all see some crazy fun pictures of some of the folks that I've been involved in my learning experiences with, and unfortunately, I couldn't find any pictures that go all the way back to my first degree today. But I was in ministry started out in 1996. And then after the first couple of years of ministry, really found myself, I had some skills. I was really great at organizing activities and working with youth and doing some teaching, but I did feel like I was lacking something. And particularly, I thought, I have all these skills, but I don't have the theological background. I mean, I grew up in the church, but I didn't really have a lot of education in terms of Bible education. And so I took a leap of faith and started in a pilot program through Luther Seminary to get a Master's of Arts in Youth and Family Ministry online. And what I have found is that experience really is first of all, it was extremely transformative for my life. As you can see, these are some of the folks that I've been involved in learning cohorts with. We travel all over the country to meet up with each other and celebrate each other's ministries. But we also grew together personally and professionally. And it was through these cohorts that I feel like learning really happened the best. And so from the discipling cohorts point of view, I feel like what we're doing here in the network is right on track, getting us into smaller groups where we can really kind of fulfill the threefold purpose of the network itself: education, connection, and renewal, because the connection and renewal really fuel education, and that really gets me excited about learning. And that's what I feel like these cohorts can do. So at the same time you're learning and you're growing, which is the main point, I think, of the cohorts, you're also connecting with other people and really deeply renewing yourself and each other in the process. So, and that was my experience through cohort learning in the past. And so I'm really excited to be part of being on the other side of that and developing some curriculum to go along with our discipling cohorts.
Awesome. Thank you for sharing that. I love these pictures. And you can tell just the joy and the care of the people that you're with. So
Yeah.
I would echo that having a learning cohort, a group of people that you share with is super important and definitely transformational. So thank you. Let's see if I can get the slide to go next. Well, too many. Oh, I love technology. All right. So let's talk about what makes up discipling cohorts. What are the nuts and bolts of this, and how do we get into a group?
Yes, so these are kind of, the nuts and bolts of what it will look like. And if you guys have questions, please do ask them. We want to help make this as clear as we can be for you. So again, this is really an intentional process. As Heather talked about, there will be a curriculum which will include both time for just really connection, some intentional spiritual faith practices, and then time to focus on your personal plans, which I'll talk about in a second. But also time for you to be in a community. And I don't know about you, but for everything I cross off my to-do list, I add 2 more. And as much as I want to connect with leaders in my area, it gets hard, and our weeks, our days fill up. And so this is time for you to have intentionality around supporting one another and to feel supported, but then also that accountability, as you are going to be working on a personal plan, that you will have people there to help both be a resource for you, but then also to make sure, how's it going? And knowing that others are going to be checking in with you will hopefully help you really move along, but also to be daring as you dream big about some of these plans. The cohorts are going to be 6 to 8 participants in each cohort, and there will be a trained peer coach, and the coach will be a part of your group, and will be also having a personal plan, but it's good to have someone kind of leading and making sure, some of the logistics are taken care of and checking in with your group, but then also someone who will help kind of facilitate the conversations. And those coaches will be trained at the Extravaganza, prior to the Extravaganza. Your cohorts will meet once a month. We are hoping that as many groups as can meet face-to-face, that they're able to. There's a lot of positive things that can come from meeting face-to-face, but we also realize, just in terms of locations and schedules and whatnot, that isn't always the case. And for many people, the cohorts will be made up of people in their synod, and synods are very large, and so to get together will be difficult. And so, as much as we hate technology, we also love technology, because it allows us to have platforms like this where we can connect with one another. And Heather, having done the distributive learning program through Luther, can attest to just how you can really build community among people when you aren't able to be face-to-face very often. But that first meeting of your cohort will be at the Extravaganza. So I think that will be a great time to get to know one another, to meet face-to-face, and then continue to build that community each month. How do you get a group? We have information on how to register to be a participant. At the end, we'll show you that link. And then we will work on communicating with your peer coach, as well as getting you in a group. But most of the groups will be made up of people within their synod. So if you don't have enough people in your synod to make a cohort, do not worry. We will, some groups may be smaller, and we may combine some synods. And so we will help you get in your group. We just want you to prayerfully consider being a part of it, and then signing up, and we will help get you the details from there. So another big part of this, this group is to create this personal plan. And those can all look very different. And we know that there's lots of benefits of having a plan, and maybe some of you are feeling really burnt out or feeling like you just really want more. And so we want to help you really dream big. And Danica, I think the next slide was there. Perfect. So there's lots of, every person can have a different plan, and we don't want to tell you this is what you have to do, but these are just some of the things. Maybe there's an area that you really are wanting to work on. Maybe there's an event, or maybe you really want to work on transforming your confirmation ministry or shifting to a cross-generational ministry. Maybe working on budget or conflict management within your context. And I think we talk a lot about congregational ministry, but there is, lots of different ministry, and we don't want to just say that it's only those who work within a church, but it is open to everyone. Maybe you are really just thinking about your both your short-term, your long-term vocational call, what God is calling you to do, and wanting a place to really think about that, and people to help you to move into whatever that next call may be. We're going to be doing lots of spiritual practices, and this is a way also for you to just really grow into your spiritual life and take time for your own faith journey so that you can better walk alongside others. But then also this is going to all be a part of helping you just create meaningful connections with others in your area, and to have that, again, that accountability and the support so that you know that there is a network there in the trenches with you. And so we hope, again, there's that as you are signing up, that you maybe have an idea of some sort of plan that you want to work on. I would encourage you, again, I keep saying, but dream big. Like, what are those things that you're too scared, or maybe you're saying, like, I don't even know what it would look like. That's okay. Like, if you know the answer, it's not a big dream. But to really step out in faith, and to know that you're going to have a group of people there to help you, and that this will take time too. It's a whole year process, and your plan maybe is longer than that year, but you'll have a good start within this year. So
Awesome.
a couple of the nuts and bolts there.
Thanks, Julie.
Yeah.
Heather, you talked about sort of a curriculum or a structure to these things. I'm wondering if you can tell us a little bit more, maybe a little deeper look at.
Sure.
Okay, well, maybe we don't have a slide on that. Okay, you just go for it.
Sure, and some of this will be to reiterate what has already been said, but I want to talk first about the kind of the basic designer structure of how this is going to look. And I know we've already spoken about being in a group. You would start out at the Extravaganza, and that's really, I think, an important part of this process. The hope and dream is that that as many of our groups as possible can meet 7 times in person in between extravaganzas as well. But we also know that distance in our church can sometimes be a difficulty. So there may be some online learning here. So we'd like for everyone to start by getting to know each other through some intentional time in their discipling cohort at the extravaganza. And then the basic design would be to have a meeting and getting to know each other there, and then 7 meetings throughout the year with different pieces that we bring in. And then to have the next year's extravaganza be a closing out of the year where you would actually present to the group or to a partner, or whatever, your personal plan, and really start, that would be kind of your kickoff to, okay, I've really done some discerning throughout the year, and this is where I want to go, and this is what I think I need to be learning about, and where I want to stretch myself, and where I want to strengthen, and so then kicking it off and celebrating with each other and holding each other accountable for taking the next step and actually working through your plan. So that E is important. The extravaganza is important. The other meetings, the basic curriculum is designed to be face-to-face, but we're also creating it to where it will be able to be adapted to online to some degree. And then we've also talked briefly, it's still we're still working within our basic structure and figuring out if we can mold it into a variety of models that best fit people's needs. So would a retreat setting 2 to 3 times a year be workable with the curriculum? Those kinds of questions we're still working on the details for as we're finalizing that curriculum. But we're wanting to make this something accessible to everybody. And we know that that can be really difficult when we're far away.
Sure.
So that's basically the structure, would be to meet at the Extravaganza and then have 7 meetings throughout the year and then finalize at the following year's Extravaganza. As far as the curriculum, we've kind of designed it into 3 parts. There's the first several meetings are getting to know each other and getting to know your context and talking about strengths and who you are and where you feel like you are. Like I said earlier, I knew that I had skills and training in certain areas of my ministry life, but there are other places that I felt like I was lacking. And so part of the beauty of the curriculum is that this can work for anybody. It doesn't matter if you've been doing this for 20 years or 20 days. You know yourself and you know your strengths and what you're already trained in and where you want to continue to stretch. And then you also know you're going to be figuring out what is it that I'm lacking, what else do I want to add to my who I am that can increase my abilities in this ministry. So we'll be taking a look. A few years back, the LCA Youth Ministry Network developed a document called Standards and Guidelines. And the document that we have right now is geared towards professionals, but I think there's still a lot of pieces to that volunteers, that anybody who wants to work with youth in the church can actually access and go, okay, this is something I already do well. If I'm a Sunday school teacher and I'm a really good Sunday school teacher, that's your strength. And maybe you want to learn more about being in relationship with a small group of young people or something like that. So we're gonna take a look at what our strengths and weaknesses are, or places of growth. And then the next set of curriculum kind of leads us through that skills and leadership questions, vocational questions, spiritual practices. Where do I need to be growing in my spiritual practice? And just tying all of those together so that we have an opportunity to think about, where do I need to grow in these different areas? And so then the beauty of doing this in a cohort is that you're having people walk alongside you. You're having people help ask you questions. The curriculum is designed to be more of a conversation and an experience. So each time you get together, there will be a spiritual practice that you do with your group. Each time you get together, it's not going to be as much somebody teaching you as maybe a few pieces that help guide your discussion, but then our chairperson of each group will be our facilitator, will be leading those conversations and helping everybody ask some really good questions. But then the beauty of it is the learning is going to come from each other, and the discernment will also come from each other. And then in those last 3 sessions, you'll start developing your plan. You'll have taken a look at what we've talked about all throughout the other meetings, and you'll start developing, okay, this is where I really think I'm being called to grow. This is where I really want to strengthen. And then by the time you get to the Extravaganza the following year, then you will have developed a plan that you present there with your group and say, this is what I want to do in the next year. And would you guys pray for me? Is there someone that will keep me accountable? How can we, and hopefully that's then where those relationships that you've built through this process, the connection, and then all of that renewal that you've done can help give you that energy and that excitement, that joy to start learning and growing in new ways, and then have people to hold you accountable for that. So that's kind of how the curriculum is designed, just to work you through, where am I, where might I want to be, and then planning how that's going to look.
Awesome. Sounds great. We've got some questions, and so I want to make sure that we allow time for that. If you are still formulating your question or just want to make sure that you get it in we're done at 1:30. So we will try to honor that. Our first question is, do you have to attend the extravaganza to be a part of a cohort? Will it be an obstacle if you cannot attend the E?
I think, Heather, you can chime in too, but I think as our kickoff year and just how important it is to start with that face-to-face connection with your cohort, that it is necessary this year that you are at the extravaganza. Now, as we grow and as we learn throughout this process, you know, that may change in future years, but I think for this year, it is important that you are at the E.
All right. Yep. Did you want to say something else, Heather? Sorry.
No, I was just going to agree and just say that personal connection really is key to this. That's why we're doing cohorts, and so that face-to-face, as much as online can be such a gift, we still, you know, a conversation online with grandma or grandpa is great, but a hug from grandma or grandpa is better, you know. So just that idea of that personal connection face-to-face is really important for our learning and growth.
Perfect. Next question, Terry's wondering if you already registered to be a participant, when will we hear if we're in a group? And she has another question. Terry's overachieving today. At what point in the extravaganza will cohorts meet?
Yes, so we thank you for your patience. If you have already signed up, and we will be in touch with you soon. We really wanted to start with the cohort, the leaders, and the coaches, sorry, and so they have all been notified, and so we will reach out to you, and it's not a big screening process, and so if you have signed up to be a part, thank you for your patience, and we will be in touch with you. If you go on to the extravaganza schedule, you will see that there are times throughout that cohorts will be meeting, and we will let you know as we figure out those details of which cohorts will meet where, but it is in the extravaganza schedule, which I shamefully do not have in front of me right now.
It's okay, it's on the website. Everybody can access it.
It's on the website.
Thank you. Becca says, I can go to the E in 2018, but most likely not in 2019. Can I still participate in a cohort?
So she can go this year, but not next year?
Correct.
Good question.
Yeah.
Yeah. So I think this is one of those questions that we'll have to get back to you. I hate to say I don't know at this point, but because this is a pilot, I think what we're hoping for is a little bit of patience of everybody, just as we're developing. I don't want to say, no, you have to go. If we learn throughout the year that maybe, you know, especially if you're in a group that's face-to-face all year long, it might not be as big a deal. So as we're kind of developing this as well, your patience is really appreciated. I think if you're interested, go ahead and express your interest and sign up, and we'll work with you there. Yeah. Is that fair?
But we will definitely discuss that as we have our conversations in the next week or two, and yeah, we'll get back to you.
Cool. Just as a side, the page that you see a screenshot of, will be putting up the most up-to-date information on this page, so people can visit back.
Yep. And so if you click on this right on the network, and there's a spot there to sign up to be a part of a cohort. There's also a little bit of that background information that Todd had talked about, and a little bit of the kind of long-term schedule of what the year would look like. So please go there. But yeah, we will update that.
Yeah. Perfect. I got two questions that are, I think, really important and we need to get to. So Kelly's wondering, how are groups put together, and can you request to be with the person?
Yeah, so for the most part, groups will be within a synod, and if there's too many in each synod, we will figure out if we need to split into two. So if you're within the same synod, most likely you will be in the same group.
All right. One last question. I need to convince my council that this is a good thing. It's an investment of time and money for me to participate. Is there a simple way I can communicate its benefits?
Yes.
I think I haven't been to the page in a little bit. I'm so sorry to say that. But there's like the elevator speech of discipling cohorts that is posted somewhere. I think sharing that with a council can be really, really helpful. Just explaining that this is learning. This is this is a super cheap way to do continuing ed, in my opinion. Like, this is not going to cost a whole lot. This is going to be learning and growth and education that will benefit the whole congregation, that is essentially free, except for, the attendance to the extravaganza. So, I mean, that would be one of my selling points. And then, and also just that it's the importance of learning and growing and always being new and fresh in whatever your profession is. Many professions expect you to go out and learn and grow and continue to improve. So if we in the church are going to expect good leadership, we need to also expect our leaders to be learning and growing.
Awesome. Great. We have unfortunately come to the end of our time. This has been so helpful. Thanks for answering our questions. I'm going to fast forward us a bit here. Hopefully everybody was able to grab Barbara's email address. Just wanted to let you know that Third Tuesday Conversations, our monthly network gathering, are made possible by the members of the Youth Ministry Network. And so if you're not a member of the network, we want to be sure to encourage you to do so that this and other resources can continue to be available to the church. And we talked a lot about the extravaganza today. We hope that you'll join us for the amazing event, but also for the kickoff of Discipling Cohorts, January 25th to the 29th. And we will be in Houston, the city of the gathering. So Finding Forward is our theme. You can find more information about that on the network page. Also, if this is your first time joining us or you like what you've heard, we have, I think it's maybe over 60 titles now archived from past Third Tuesday Conversations. So on a plethora of topics, you can go ahead and check those out. Next month, we're going to have Kara Haug with us having a conversation about sexual education and health with teenagers. So that's December 19th. We hope you'll join us for that. And as always, we're grateful for your presence in this network and hope that you will give Discipling Cohorts some prayer and consideration, and we hope to see you all at the extravaganza. Thanks, ladies, for being with us today, and have a happy Thanksgiving.
Happy Thanksgiving,
Happy Thanksgiving, everyone.